Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're diving into something that touches almost every heart at some point: the powerful, emotional journey of letting go, rediscovering yourself, and understanding why men often come back when you've already moved on. It's not about games or manipulation. It's about inner strength, emotional clarity, and recognizing your true worth. In this talk, we'll unpack the subtle dynamics of human behavior, love, distance, and self-respect. If you've ever wondered why someone who once pulled away suddenly resurfaces just as you've found peace, this is for you. Let's go deep with honesty, compassion, and unapologetic realness. After no contact, so many people get stuck in this limbo. They're waiting for a sign, a text, a moment when he realizes what he lost and comes running back. It becomes this quiet obsession, doesn't it? You're not reaching out, but you're still emotionally tied. Every time your phone lights up, your heart skips. Every time a memory hits, you wonder if maybe he's feeling the same. You convince yourself that the silence is temporary, that any day now he'll reach out, and when he does, you'll be ready. But here's the part no one tells you. The most powerful move you can make after no contact isn't to wait for his move. It's to make your own. See, he might expect you to be paused, to be emotionally frozen, to be lingering in the space where he left you. But the move he won't expect is you using that silence as fuel, not to obsess over him, but to rediscover you. When you stop sitting on the edge of your life, waiting for someone else's decision, you start becoming dangerous in the best way. You start asking new questions, not will he come back, but what do I want next? You begin reconnecting with parts of yourself that had nothing to do with him. The parts that were driven, inspired, confident, bold. The parts that got quieter while you were busy making someone else the center of your world. Here's what really changes the game. You fill your life so completely with new goals, new habits, new boundaries, that his absence doesn't feel like a void anymore. It feels like space you needed, space to stretch, to grow, to think clearly. He expects you to be emotionally available when he decides to return, but the move he won't expect is you already having emotionally moved on. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's not about playing games. It's about living so intentionally that his return is no longer your reward. It's an interruption. And when he does reach out, you'll look at that message not through the eyes of someone who's been starving for attention, but through the clarity of someone who's been fed by her own self-worth, her own healing, her own direction. You stop waiting because you finally understand the most attractive thing about you was never your willingness to wait. It's your willingness to walk forward with or without him. You stop sitting in the passenger seat of your life and realize the wheel's been in your hands the whole time. And the moment you take that wheel and drive with intention, with focus, with no rear-view glances, that's the moment everything changes. Not just for him, but for you. Silence can be uncomfortable, especially when you're used to filling the space with words, explanations, reassurances, or even apologies just to keep the peace. After no contact, there's this temptation to break that silence, to check in, to see if he's thinking about you, to remind him of what you once had. But what most people don't realize is that silence isn't just a strategy for getting someone back. It's a statement. A powerful, undeniable declaration that says, I am no longer available for confusion, for inconsistency, for crumbs disguised as connection. And that kind of silence, it speaks volumes. He might think the no-contact phase is just a temporary reaction, that you're using it to provoke him, test him, or manipulate a response. But what really shocks him, what he won't see coming, is when your silence becomes your standard, not as a way to punish him, but as a way to protect yourself. You're not going silent hoping he comes back. You're staying silent because you've realized how loud the noise of the relationship actually was, how much of your energy went into trying to fix things, explain things, understand things that were never yours to carry. That shift is everything. When silence comes from self-respect instead of resentment, it changes the entire dynamic. You stop needing to respond because you recognize that every time you used to reach out, it was coming from a place of lack, from a fear of being forgotten, from a desperation to stay relevant in someone else's life. But you're no longer trying to maintain space in his world. You're creating a whole new world of your own. What he doesn't expect is for you to remain silent asterisk even when he returns asterisk, when he texts hey, or checks in with a casual "I've been thinking about you." He expects the door to still be slightly open, but when that door stays closed, not with anger, not with drama, but with grace, that's the kind of silence that disrupts everything, because it forces him to sit with the consequences of his choices. It forces him to realize that access to you is no longer guaranteed. Silence isn't weakness, it's not avoidance, it's clarity. It's knowing that if someone wanted to show up right, they would. That you no longer owe anyone closure that came at the cost of your own peace. You're not quiet because you have nothing to say. You're quiet because you've already said everything that needed to be said, and now it's time to listen to the life that's waiting to speak back to you. And sometimes the most powerful message you can send is none at all. There's a big difference between detachment and indifference. A lot of people confuse the two. They think if you've detached, you must not care. But real detachment doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It means you've chosen to stop letting your feelings control your decisions. And that shift is so powerful because it allows you to show up for yourself in a way you probably never have before. He expects a reaction. He expects emotional volatility, maybe even a little chaos. That's what he's used to, people showing their hurt, reaching out to get answers, looking for validation that they still matter. So when you don't play into that, when you don't give him the emotional charge he's come to rely on, it confuses him. He starts questioning everything. He's waiting for a crack in your silence, a message that shows he still holds a place in your heart the same way. But instead, what he sees is you calm, composed, centered. You've stopped orbiting around his emotional availability. And that move, that rattles him more than anything else you could say or do. Detachment is where your power starts to return. It's where you begin seeing the situation for what it really was, not what you hoped it could be. When you're emotionally attached, you cling to potential. You replay memories and try to find meaning in every moment, every word, every delay in his replies. But when you detach, you stop analyzing and start accepting. You stop rewriting history and begin writing your future. And it's not that you stop loving. Love may still be there, but now it's rooted in reality, not illusion. You love yourself more. You trust yourself more. You know now that peace is more valuable than emotional highs, that consistency matters more than chemistry. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You just need to protect it. He might try to trigger you. He might send a vague message, bring up something sentimental, try to reopen the door with a half-effort apology. But when you're truly detached, you don't bite, not because you're cold, but because you've developed clarity. You can see that the cost of re-engaging is far greater than the benefit of temporary comfort. You understand now that not every emotion needs an audience. Not every feeling needs a response, and that's what makes you so different from before. You're not reacting, you're reflecting. You're not clinging, you're choosing. You're not begging for validation. You're moving in alignment with your worth. That level of emotional maturity, that self-control, that quiet strength, he never saw that coming. And when he finally does, it's too late, because the version of you he once knew doesn't exist anymore. After a breakup, there's often this urge to prove something, to show him what he lost, to make sure he sees you looking better, feeling better, living better. It's tempting to post the right photos, to craft the right story, to keep one eye on whether he's watching. But here's the truth. The most powerful transformation is the one you don't announce. The most impactful shift is the one that doesn't require an audience. Because the move he won't expect is for you to elevate so quietly, so deeply, that by the time he notices, you're already gone. When someone walks away or leaves you hanging in confusion, there's a part of you that wants to prove your value to them. It's human. You want them to see what they missed out on, what they could have had if they'd just been smart enough to stay. But real growth doesn't chase acknowledgement. Real growth doesn't perform. It doesn't seek a reaction. It lives in the results. And when you commit to that kind of growth, you stop needing him to see anything. You start investing your time in yourself again, not for the purpose of proving something, but because you've remembered who you were before you tried so hard to be enough for someone else. You pour into your health, your goals, your relationships, your passions, not because you're trying to win the breakup, but because you're finally showing up for the parts of yourself you neglected when you were too focused on trying to hold onto someone who didn't know how to hold you. And here's what happens. You stop broadcasting your progress. You stop giving energy to the storyline that needs him to watch in order to feel validated. You just live. You wake up with more clarity. You move with more confidence. You smile without needing to be seen. And you start to realize that the best version of you was never created for his return. It was created for your own becoming. He expects a performance. He expects a subtle call for attention. He expects you to leave breadcrumbs for him to follow back. But instead, you leave nothing. No signs, no signals, no drama, just distance. Graceful, grounded distance. And that, ironically, is what gets his attention the most, because now he's curious. Now he wonders what's changed. Now he feels the absence of something he used to take for granted. But by the time that curiosity catches up with him, you're no longer available for his confusion. You're no longer lingering in that gray area, hoping he figures it out. You've already elevated quietly, powerfully, permanently, and when he finally looks back to find you, you'll be too far ahead to notice. When someone leaves or even just pulls away, they often assume that if they come back later, the door will still be open. Why? Because they remember the version of you who tolerated uncertainty, who made excuses for mixed signals, who showed grace even when it cost her self-respect. So when he eventually circles back, even if it's just to test the waters, what he doesn't expect is to meet a version of you who no longer negotiates on her standards. See, anyone can raise their standards when they're hurt. That initial fire, that I'm done energy, it's powerful but fleeting. What makes the difference is the consistency, the willingness to enforce those standards day after day, especially when the loneliness kicks in, especially when the memories hit hard, especially when the message you were secretly hoping for finally comes through and you have to decide, do I respond from emotion or from evolution? He might come back with charm, with apologies, with just enough effort to stir your emotions, and in the past, that probably would have worked. But this time, things are different. You've outgrown the version of yourself who needed external validation to feel seen. Now, your peace isn't up for negotiation. Your self-worth isn't something you're willing to discount just to feel temporarily wanted. That's the move he won't expect because he remembers who you were, not who you've become. It's easy to talk about boundaries. It's much harder to hold them when your heart still has hope. But holding your boundaries is the very thing that builds your confidence. Every time you say no to something that no longer serves you, you're saying yes to the woman you're becoming. You're reinforcing the message to yourself that you are worth more than breadcrumbs, that the bare minimum isn't flattering anymore, it's insulting. You don't have to be cruel, you don't have to be cold, you just have to be clear, clear about what you want, clear about what you will no longer tolerate, clear about what love actually means to you now, not a feeling, but a consistent action. And clarity like that, it's magnetic, not because it pulls him back in, but because it pulls you forward. He might try to revisit the past. He might remind you of the good moments, the chemistry, the connection. But when your standards have evolved, so has your memory. You no longer romanticize potential. You respect patterns. You no longer chase closure. You create it by walking away. And the version of you that once made excuses for his inconsistency, she's not here anymore. She left the moment you decided that your heart was no longer a playground for someone else's indecision. There's a moment after no contact where everything inside you wants to respond. The text comes in, maybe it's vague, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's just a simple hey. And for a split second, your heart stirs. You remember the good times, the laughs, the way it felt to be wanted, even if it was only sometimes. And you think, maybe I should respond, maybe this is it. But the most powerful move you can make isn't to respond, it's to replace. Replace the space he left, not with another person, but with purpose. Replace the time you used to spend overanalyzing his words with energy spent building something real. Replace the pain with power, because the moment you choose not to re-enter the cycle, you're no longer participating in a loop, you're breaking it. And that's where transformation begins. He expects you to be emotionally available. He expects that if he reaches out, he'll still matter to you the same way. What he won't expect is silence. Not the cold kind, not the angry kind, but the kind that says, I've moved on. The kind that speaks of peace, not punishment. That's the silence that leaves an impact, because it tells the truth, not just that you're done, but that you've evolved. You're no longer answering old energy with your new mindset. You're not recycling conversations that go nowhere. You're not reopening doors you've already closed just to see if maybe this time it'll be different. Because this time, you're different. You've stopped trying to get closure from the same place that broke you. You've realized that closure isn't something someone gives you. It's something you create for yourself when you stop giving chances to what already proved it couldn't meet your needs. And so you don't respond, you replace. You replace his absence with intention. You fill your days with meaning, with movement, with new dreams that aren't shaped around someone else's willingness to stay. And maybe, just maybe, it hurts at first, but that pain, it's clean, it's honest, It's not the ongoing ache of waiting for someone to show up. It's the sharp, freeing pain of letting go. When he finally realizes that the version of you who once waited for a reply no longer exists, he'll feel it. Not through your words, but through your silence, through your growth, through the life you've built that no longer includes a spot for someone who only ever gave you uncertainty. Because you didn't just walk away, you rose, and you didn't need to be loud about it. You just needed to stop answering calls from the past when your future was calling you forward.